This is a reaction to Uncle Luke's response to the Rick Ross Drake situation that happened in Canada a day ago. Rick Ross was jumped by some fans that was upset that Rick Ross played Kendrick Lamar's "They Not Like Us" at the end of his performance. Now, Uncle Luke had some words to say about this. He said that Drake liking the posts about Rick Ross being jumped inserted himself into violence by doing so. But he didn't make no mention of the Hells Angel that punched Ross in the face. He didn't say that the Hells Angels inserted themselves into violence. He only mentioned that Drake inserted himself into violence and how things could escalate between Drake and Rick Ross, and that Drake may not be able to go to Miami because it may not be safe for him, or maybe not go to Los Angeles because it might not be safe for him. But what about the Hells Angels? The Hells Angels, that guy Icarus is the one that punched Ross in the face. So why isn't he safe in Miami? Why isn't he safe in Los Angeles? He's the one that took issue with the Kendrick Lamar song. They didn't ask Rick Ross to play that song at the end of his performance. He said it looks like Drake set Ross up. Did Drake ask Ross to play "They Not Like Us" at the end of his performance? How would Drake know that he was going to play that song? Drake had no idea this man was going to play that song at the end of his performance, thus inserting himself into violence. How would he have any idea Ross was going to play that song? You know, Ross put it on himself. The whole show went off without a hitch until he played that song. That's when things got out of hand. So Ross is responsible for what happened to him. And I want to know from Uncle Luke is, why isn't the Hells Angels being held to account? Why do it have to be violence towards Drake, but not the Hells Angels? Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm anxious to hear it.
And what's more unacceptable is when Mr. Drake liked the post. That also is unacceptable. I expect more out of Mr. Drake. When there's violence, you don't condone it. You should be bigger than that. Mr. Drake, you should be bigger than that. When there's violence, you don't condone that. You don't like no posters and all that, because here's what happened. There's always a backlash of it all. Here's what happens when now you've inserted yourself, even if you were not involved. Half of the country think, and y'all do what you do on the TV. Half of the country think that. So you validate that even if you did not do that. You validate that by doing what? Liking. When you, Mr. Drake, like the post, you just inserted yourself into violence toward Mr. Ross and his crew.